Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on the stage here at RWA Builder Summit at Istanbul Blockchain Week. My name is Gunsel Topbas. As introduced, I am the co-founder and fintech practice lead at Manifest Executive Consultancy. At the same time, I'm lecturing at American University of Sharjah on alternative investments, obviously very much related to our topic. I'm also an independent member of the Fintech and Innovation Committee of Arab Federation of Capital Markets. And I also recently joined RUDIC, which is a tokenization and collateral platform, as MENA board advisor. So today we will have the opportunity to explore a fascinating frontier, which is the tokenization of gold and precious metals. I think we would be more focusing on gold, given the expertise of our panelists. And obviously these assets have preserved trust across centuries, and now they are also part of redefining the future of finance. And in an age of where volatility, synthetic assets, and hype cycles dominate the conversation, obviously gold and tokenization gold stands apart, backed by something timeless, yet ready to be programmed to get into the new financial architecture. Today we will cover liquidity, infrastructure, regulation, and most importantly, whether tokenized metals are about to move from the shadows into the portfolios of the next generation of investors. Joining me on the stage are three voices who are very much complementary with their perspectives to this topic. Gokhan Yılmaz, he is the CEO of Agaone Commodities. Both him and his company bridging physical gold and blockchain from the heart of commodities trade in Dubai. Cemil Şinasi Türün hocam, I would say. He's the educator, innovator, and consultant in the digital currency systems, and he's currently from Boğaziçi University. Danosch Zahedi, he's the CEO of The Block, and his company is also a sharp and smart voice in tokenization and DeFi capital markets. Before we go into the individual questions that I would pose on you, hoping that it will not be too much pressure, I would like to first kindly ask you all, what do you see as the biggest risks to scaling tokenizing precious metals, either tech, regulatory, or reputational, and who is responsible for mitigating them in decentralized ecosystems? So, Gokhan Bey, maybe we'll start with you.
Yes, sure. Actually, now we are talking about the asset, I think, which is very well distributed among the world. So we are talking about an asset which has been used as a store of value since maybe 4,000 years. So tokenization of course, gold, it's really a big challenge. But in the meantime, it's really a very important, it has very important aspects for the economy itself. Because whenever we are talking about the physical gold, generally, this physical gold cannot contribute to economy. So if we are trying also to benefit from this huge economy, which is lying under the pillow. So tokenization, it's really a very important tool to gain this asset. And whenever you can tokenize the gold, it's really a very huge, let's say, engine for the economy. Of course, there are some legislation needs when we are looking about decentralized world and conventional world. Maybe 5-6 years ago, there are two independent planets. Now, I think real world asset class and the real world asset is a very important opportunity and meeting point for these two independent planets. Now, especially the central banks, and they are also giving a big effort, and they are also trying to develop projects related with tokenization of real-world assets. They are trying it through different assets, but one of the most, I think, important asset is gold.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Of course, the real-world assets that are staying there, physical, not necessarily liquid, being with the blockchain technology now, able to tokenize them, and especially if we can put them into the financial system, that's the whole aim. And we have Cemil Bey, who has been spending time innovating on the products on this topic, and if you can also comment on this
yes,
first question.
Up until very recently, physical gold was not a subject of tokenization and never discussed in the context of blockchain-based products, mainly because this role was left to stablecoins like Tether and USDC. However, with the changing atmosphere of the global, strategical global world conjecture, the gold is going to gain a lot of more respect and importance, especially if you look at from the perspective of world trade of major commodities. Recently, Trump administration outlined several steps to reduce the importance of US dollar as a reserve currency, and with trade tariffs, changing the trade tariffs between his country and China and other countries, there was a definite push towards a new type of reserve currency for the global trading and for the global masses. So it looks like the main contender for this position is going to be gold. If not the first, probably this, at least the second after Bitcoin. So Bitcoin and gold, they are both going to gain quite importance in the next 1 or 2 years. And probably my colleagues will agree with me because they are all investing in this special area. And when you look at the current situation, it is Tether Gold and Paxos Gold, the two top players. And their combined market capitalization is just $1.6 billion, which is nothing. If you compare with the daily transaction of gold, which is $300 billion, and the market capitalization of gold, physical gold, is $23 trillion. And the crypto market altogether is around 3 trillion US dollar right now. So the potential for a tokenized...
There's a problem with the mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the potential for making a tokenized gold is quite big and very obvious from these two perspectives. So the conclusion, my conclusion is we are going to see in the several years following us, in front of us, we will see quite liquid gold tokens, and also very important is to be able to receive physical gold in return for our tokenized asset. Right now also it's a problem if you want to take your Tether gold, they say you have to go to El Salvador. This is quite crazy. And so we have, I'm sure we are going to see definite redemption of several grams or kilograms of gold. When you bring your tokens to an authority, they will be able to give you the physical gold, which will be quite revolutionary.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So this is quite a diverse panel with 3 Turkish people and 3 Dubai residents also.
Yes, exactly.
Danosch is obviously CEO of the block. Cemil Bey already mentioned about the regulations, and the regulations also in the US, obviously a big push. UAE has already been very progressive. And from the block perspective, obviously you are very much involved in this space. Would like to hear your initial thoughts on the topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for this amazing panel. I agree with the other gentlemen. I think that gold is something that's going to grow exponentially or linearly in the next years to come as tokenized share of the global overall gold float. However, there's, as back to your question, there's a lot of risks, inherent risks with gold compared to some other assets when you tokenize it. I mean, one of the things that gold has struggled with, not just in Web3, but in Web2 as well, in the traditional gold markets, has always been different types of frauds, scams. The audits of the actual vaults haven't always been accurate. And this is, I would say, one of the key risks when tokenizing gold, that everything is tracked, everything is done in a very regulated way. The second issue or risk is that currently there's a lot of ambiguity in terms of regulation around the world. So in some jurisdictions, gold is considered a good, and in some jurisdictions, it's considered a security. So how do you deal with that on an on-chain level? So we still have some things that needs to be improved, but gold is definitely ticking up as a tokenized gold is increasing as an overall share of the global markets.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So I would like to continue with Cemil Hoca. You already mentioned the stablecoins and the form of stablecoin that it has been so far. So how is the tokenization of physical gold would be fundamentally different from the stable coins? And what unique design challenges would there be in your view?
Yes, physical gold tokenization is a quite big challenge for the governments and also for the regulatory bodies. The main thing is, up until now, gold asset is seen as not a liquid currency or as not something like a tradable good, as my friend Danosch mentioned. It is used as a commodity, as a good, or as in the daily life of especially countries like India, China, and Turkey. It plays a special role. For example, in Turkey, people, what we call under the pillow gold is quite big in size. A lot of people speculate about the amount. They say maybe it's 4,500 tons, maybe 5,000 tons, but there is also data, relevant data that's coming to us that says 8,000 tons in Turkey. When it comes to buying of...
In the previous speech, it was $3 billion worth.
He said 2,300 tons. Ussal, he's a friend also, and Ussal said 2,300, but I think it's quite more than that. When in the past, central banks keeping dollars, especially in the Western countries, this was the talk of the day. So when you go and talk about gold, you talk about central bank gold. However, when we tokenize gold in the future, we will be talking about this under the pillow gold more than the central bank gold. So in the very near future, we will be talking about countries like India, China, Turkey, Saudi Arabia becoming bigger players as this pillow, under the pillow gold will come into play in terms of maybe liquid assets which will be used as collateral, for example, for other financial transactions. So up until now, Turkish people, I'm thinking maybe 100 gram per capita per person. We keep 100 gram gold per capita. This is, of course, not definite data, but speculative data says that. So think about that. This 100 gram gold per capita for Turkish people will be coming into market as a collateral, not necessarily spending, but using as a financial collateral. This is a big, strong element of future asset tokenization. So I will emphasize this part. In the past, it was central bank commodity. In the future, it is household commodity.
Yeah, exactly. So the central bank gold is already at the central bank. If you tokenize it, you don't expect it to move into the market. But the gold under the pillow, as you define it, then has many means to get into the financial transactions, and
Exactly.
especially being a collateral, so that
Exactly.
it will also
This is a new
enable.
play. This is
Exactly.
non-existent right now.
Exactly. So Danosch,
Yeah.
you have extensively worked on facilitating the RWA project so far. And where do you then see the tokenized metals stand today in terms of innovation and traction compared to other categories of real-world assets, like private credit and real estate?
Can you repeat the last part of the question?
Where do you see the tokenized gold concept stand today in terms of its traction, and also as a potential, comparing to other RWAs like private credit
Got it.
and real estate?
Okay, so look, tokenized gold is not really a new thing. We invented it 20 years ago when we issued the GLD token, which is, you can buy it on any major exchange. It's the ticker, it's not a token, the GLD ticker, which is essentially a representation of paper gold. Now, the emergence of tokenized gold hasn't really solved for a specific problem because you already have the ETFs and the markets where you can trade gold. Now, where it has solved is in the fraction, well, in how you can connect it with different types of DeFi assets, etc. What we're seeing now with gold is there is a linear growth as gold tokenization in comparison to, let's say, real estate, tokenization of T-bills, treasuries, different types of money funds. I know, for example, that T-bills as tokenization increased by 100% in the last 6 months. Gold hasn't had that growth, but it has had quite a linear growth. And right now, I think it stands, the tokenized gold stands for 0.02% of the gold float. So we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But I do believe that in the next few years, gold will get its fair share. The tokenized gold will get its fair share of the overall markets, but still it will be in the single digits.
Yeah, yeah. So it will actually take off together with the rest of the real-world assets as tokenization becomes more mainstream. Gokhan Bey, turning to you, you are a founder working on directly with gold trade infrastructure, right? You're in the core of it. So what is the most difficult part of bridging the physical custody and the blockchain utility? Is it the delivery, proof of reserve, or the regulation?
Actually, let me give you some information about first our company, then it will give an idea.
Yes.
So we are a group of company which has, let's say, different companies in different countries and different continents. So this means that we can do how to trade in different countries and in different jurisdictions. And most of our companies, trading companies, are exchange members on those countries. So this means that we know how to first trade in exchanges. While you are trading in exchange, you have to first deposit the gold, and then you will create a digital receipt, then you are trading the digital receipt. This means that you are working with secure logistic companies and also regulators. So by nature, we know, as I told you, how to digitalize the gold. So tokenization is another technology.
Yeah.
So you can also use the same method for tokenization of the gold. So with this, let's say, experience, we added also e-commerce experience. So this is also a huge experience related with distribution of physical gold to end customers with insured, let's say, cargo. So nearly we are shipping 100 packages every year to our customers. So naturally, as I told you, we are very well structured for such kind of tokenization journey. So in AgaMX, which is a dedicated product mainly for B2B customers. Why B2B customers? Because we want to consider all the consumer needs. So we are working with B2B partners who are focusing in a special consumer, let's say, audience. And we are trying to provide solutions, B2B solutions, to each partner in different countries, in different regions. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to simplify the journey of buying, selling, and also, let's say, staking the gold. So whenever you simplify, this will also create market depth. Now we are talking about one of the biggest challenges related with the real world assets, which is redemption. But whenever there is a market depth, nobody asks for the redemption. Let's think about USDT. Nobody is asking redemption of USDT.
It rolls over.
They are selling and buying. So whenever you create enough depth, as Cemil Hocam said, now the issue is in tokenized gold side, the market cap for these two big players is 1.6 million. So I'm sure that soon it will boost, because now even the regulatory part with the real world assets, they believe that this is compliance-wise, there is no issues. And also, as I told you, the companies like us already knows how to create customer trust, because we have to work with third-party logistic companies which can be auditable. We are always audited. And in Turkey, for example, we are a member of Borsa Istanbul. So the gold that we are storing is at the vault of Borsa Istanbul. And you can easily trace the quantity from the Borsa website. So those are no more big challenges, actually. And as I told you, with our solution, we are trying to establish a network like an internet network. So we are trying to connect the people. As I told you at the beginning, gold is the most distributed asset in the world. So everybody at least has 1 gram of gold. So if you can reach to this, let's say, big wealth, then it will be a big game-changing.
So in physical, electronic, now we're talking about tokenization.
Yes.
And you have managed the physical and the electronic registration, distribution, the marketplace. I think one thing that comes down is the regulations,
yes,
right? In this new programmable finance that we're talking about. So how do you see these regulations are now evolving, and how do you see, for example, the regulations in the UAE where you are based in, and anything cross-border that might have an impact on your business?
Yes, sure.
From the trust and from the ease of doing business perspective.
Crypto-wise and blockchain-wise, you know, UAE, one of the, I think, most advanced countries in the world. So now, as you may aware also, Central Bank of UAE, they are also issuing a crypto coin. It's also a stable coin, which is dirham coin. So this means that they are launching a fiat currency, which you can also exchange and control in digital world. So this will be a big step. And you know, as being a crypto-friendly country, they have to also overcome the fears of other countries. So legislation-wise, they are really focused on this issue, and they have a special, I think, institution for developing such kind of coins which can be traceable. And by the way, when we are talking about real-world assets, of course, smart contracts, Genius X, they are also very important. So companies like us, we can also create very efficient and seamless contracts for the consumers, which can create, of course, trust. Whenever trust is there, then the market depth and also the volumes will come.
Excellent. So now let's build on that and turning to Cemil Hoca, where you mentioned the smart contracts and how it will ensure or enhance the trust. So when tokenized gold gains scale, Cemil Hocam. Are there any systemic risks that we should expect, and who should step in to govern and standardize this market from that perspective?
Yes, this is an excellent question because this directly addresses the problem of decentralized versus centralized aspects of asset tokenization. So in the past, again, before blockchain, it is very common to think of all the assets and all the liquid and other assets of the world, including currencies, as a domain of central banks. So everything is defined in the terms of center. So if you bring your gold to center, and then I count it, I audit it, so it is kind of inside the vault in our central bank or in our, Fort Knox or whatever I have as a very secure vault. However, with blockchain, the concept of decentralized assets and decentralized asset tokenization is bringing in a new idea of not bringing to the center, but keep it at home, but let's have assets tokenized and regulated as well. But it doesn't necessarily be in the center, in the physical form. This is a new idea. So the question addresses this dilemma, if I may say. The dilemma is it's a decentralized asset and decentralized technology. However, our mindset is very central
exactly.
to bring all of these assets to the center, to count them. So from this point on, after today, decentralized gold or other decentralized assets will not be regulated by a central body, not necessarily like in the past. So we will be trusting, public as well as the blockchain technology more and more in the future, so that we will say, okay, this is tokenized asset, it's transparent on the blockchain, I see the records. So I believe that this is the case, that you have such and such gram of gold or such and such kilogram of gold. I trust you. It is going to be a very different ecosystem and future view of the world in terms of this kind of dilemma. This is what I think. I won't think this is going to be a one regulatory body, like in the past central banks or Basel, BIS or something like that. Rather than that, I think we will have local bodies regulating local gold and local assets, but this will be trustable because of a global blockchain.
Yeah. So you're perfectly right. The paradigm is not yet there to be able to design such. I think it will take also a generation shift to get there with the decentralized, autonomous, not only organizations, maybe also regulatory bodies.
Yes, maybe
themselves.
DAOs will be bodies, yes, as you say.
Yeah. And Danosch, turning to you and looking ahead, how do you see the tokenized gold evolving into mainstream, both as a consumer product and also an institutional investment tool?
Yeah, look, that's a great question. I think gold has always been available only to the big institutions, governments, etc. Yes, private individuals have been able to buy, let's say, bullion or smaller pieces of gold and keep it at home. But in general, if you wanted to use it as a hedge against inflation, it's traditionally been only accessible to a select few. Now, with the emergence of tokenization of gold, now you're giving access to this to billions of users. And in some countries, you have traditionally and historically a lot of cultural interest in gold, like the Middle East or Asia. I think for gold to really hit mainstream, there's a few things that needs to happen. First of all, it needs to become easier to switch your Pax gold from a stable coin in an app and then transfer it to somewhere else. There's a lot of remittances happening now. I think the remittance market would be interesting for gold because there are, as I said, some cultures that trust gold more than, let's say, dollars or money. They want to keep gold under the pillows. So I think those things need to happen, and then a little bit more regulatory clarity. for everyday person. But we are moving from a place where gold, as a private individual, I couldn't save in gold in the same sense. But now it's like a piggy bank that is denominated in dollar, and it safe keeps you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Also from my own university lecturing experience, and this past semester when I was talking to the students on the portfolio diversification aspects of having commodities and gold in there, because it's not necessarily correlated to the stock market and such. And at the times that we live in, despite of how much we don't want any crisis in our geographies or so, but that is also the reality, and that obviously brings gold onto the table as a safe haven. And as we've also seen, the price increased quite dramatically comparing to its recent past. And that was the day, interestingly, that when gold hit above the 3,300 levels, that was the day that I was lecturing, so I was able to put the live pricing on the screen. And when I also tasked the class with the tokenization projects, interestingly, one of them came on commodities and particularly on gold. Of course, this is a sign of both from a value perspective, portfolio diversification perspective for the institutional investors, as well as importance and attraction perspective, obviously, makes gold as a focus point. And with the technology now coming into place, with the distribution capabilities that we have and the regulations are kicking in, of course, we should see that more interest to come in to introduce also physical gold from under the pillow into the financial industry. So with my wrap up on that, I would like to hear your thoughts for the next 3 to 5 years. How do you see what we've just discussed as tokenized gold and precious metals, whether it would be a mainstream hedging tool, or it would be a specialized product, or a quiet performer or outperformer?
From my point of view, when we are talking about gold, it will be the main, of course, because as I told you, when we are considering gold itself, it's a store of value since 4,000 years. So it's one of the most, I think, important saving also asset. And for the countries who are struggling with inflation, it's one of the most important hedging tool. So with the real world asset tokenization, this journey becomes also very seamless, and also, as I told you, with our product and similar products, reaching to gold, creating value from gold, it's becoming more and more common. Now, staking from the gold, a tokenization of, let's say, a mine, gold mine itself. So it's also a product and a bond, for example, a lending bond of a mining company. This can be also tokenized, and frictionally it can be purchased by the gold investors, and this means that they are leveraging their gold investments. So for the future-wise, it's really an important, and by the way, you can also do microfinancing with gold. This is an asset-based financing, and you can do also microfinancing. The only issue is just convincing people about their fears. And as I told you, now with this experience, it's really very easy to overcome. And of course, we can also understand from the regulatory perspective, they have also maybe some fears. And nowadays, everybody, every party is working together, create value for the country, for the, let's say, citizens of their countries. And we are quite lucky as being in UAE. It's really an amazing place to work on such kind of new age or new generation products. And as I told you, now I have seen that gold maybe it will be the new treasury bond for the future, I think.
Excellent. Well, as you mentioned, when we say gold, from the infrastructure as mining to the asset itself as gold, to the financial products that's kind of loan products and such, and then turning into maybe a gold stable coin. So, Cemil Hocam, what would be your expectations next 3 to 5 years?
I have a very wild guess. Let me make a wild guess, okay, for a change. In 3 to 5 years, my guess is quite wild. Let me first put this. Today, 1 Bitcoin is equal to 1 kilogram of gold. So, but today we don't say 1 Bitcoin is equal to 1 kilogram of gold. Rather that we say 100,000, 700, whatever, dollars. So we will, my guess is we will stop saying 1 Bitcoin is equal to such and such dollars. Instead, we will say such and such kilo of gold within 3 to 5 years.
Okay. So that also links into your comment with regards to the reserve currency,
exactly.
Reserve value.
There is a change, yes.
Yeah. And Danosch, now Gokhan Bey and Cemil Bey already mentioned during the panel the culture, the gold under the pillow. We talk about UAE being progressive. And in the region, of course, many countries, along with Turkey, are rich in gold under the pillow. Of course, that is something to bring into the financial industry. But UAE is also like a launching pad to introduce those products and then to disseminate the liquidity capital across the region. So I would like to hear your thoughts on the next 3 to 5 years based on that.
Yeah, thanks. No, definitely UAE is one of the hubs for gold trade in the world, with all the gold coming in from Africa and from the region. Look, when it comes to where gold sits in 3 to 5 years' time, if you look at tokenization of gold, it kind of sits as a liquidity layer underneath ETFs and futures. It's almost like the US euro dollar system, but for the bullion market. And it's going to play an increasingly important role. However, from having a total market cap or market share of 0.02% right now in a $14 trillion market, I think in the next 5 years, tokenized gold would probably sit around 1 or 2% of the global market. Still not significant, but big enough to not be ignored. And that would mean that tokenized gold would have a market value of around $150 to $250 billion. So I think that's the target, at least for myself, for the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, maybe we will be on the headlines of the newspapers that the experts predict 1 Bitcoin will be 1 ounce of gold. Or is it
1 kilo right now.
Or 1
probably
kilo.
it will be maybe several kilos.
Okay, okay.
We are returning back to Bretton Woods again.
Well, thank you very much for all your insights.
Thank you.
Obviously, what we discussed over this panel is the tokenized gold. We didn't touch base on most of the precious metals, but I think we can all reflect it on gold as well, and its potential of bringing centuries of trust into programmable finance. And whether it becomes a core asset, either as a tokenized gold to the consumer or to the institutional portfolios, I think it will remains a debate, but obviously there are high expectations and the potential, and it will also depend on how we will build around it, right? With the infrastructure, with the policies, regulations, and above all, the trust that what we've also discussed would be ensured. So thank you to all our panelists.
We thank you for great moderation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you to Istanbul Blockchain Week and to the RWA Builder Summit. And thank you all for your patience.